The next stage of the project, we're going to start to look at roofs. So to show you the different variations of the different roof types, what I'm going to do is just move across to one side, have a blank space. I'm going to draw a couple of shapes using my wall tool. So I'm just copying the same shape across. And also draw an L-shaped building. So there we have this typical shape of a building. So go back to my ground floor plan. These walls are constrained from the ground floor up to the first floor. So when we draw the roof, it's going to attach to the first floor. So to draw a roof, we'll come to the build panel, and there's the roof tool. So I'll select it, and we get this warning box. This explains that you've created the roof on the lowest level. So you can see we're on our ground floor. So it's just warning us, do we really want to create it on the ground on the lowest level, or would you like to move the actual roof itself up? So with the drop down arrow, you can see so there are our levels that we can choose from. So if I select first floor, press yes, we can still create the roof on the ground floor, but the roof itself will be attached to the first floor level. So now we're in the creation mode. You can see our contextual tab appears. Again, we must finalize our actions by the red X or green tick. And we have our draw panel as we have before. Again, in the options are a couple of options. So same like the floor slab, the best option here would be to use the pick walls. Again, the reason being is it will attach to the boundary of the walls. So having that selected, I'm going to zoom into the first building and just select each of the walls. Now I can't continue on selecting each one to create multiple roofs, again, because they are two separate closed loops. So if I now try to finish, I get the warning message saying I can't. So you can only have one of these single closed loops within the roof boundaries. Just a small tip, best thing to do is to attach to your walls first, create the boundary, and don't do any further steps. Best thing to do is just green tick to finish, just to make sure that the actual footprint has attached correctly to the walls. Again, just saving you time. If you continue on for the next 5 to 10 minutes editing that roof, once we go to finish, if there are any issues with the boundary, we've just wasted our time. So you can see the roof has kind of disappeared. Again, it's because we're on our ground floor. So if I go to my 3D view, there we can see our roof. So I'll just open up my ground floor plan and have a 3D view so we can see. So I'm going to place roofs on all of these buildings. I can do this on the ground floor, and again, just getting that little warning message, or I can go to my first floor plan. But as you can see, I can't see the walls below. This is because of my underlay. So if we come to the underlay heading in the properties section, we can change the range base lower to ground floor, and we'll be able to see the ground floor walls. So now I can select my roof, again using the pick walls, just selecting the walls, green tick to finish. Same again, just pressing enter to come back into the roof tool. And now we have our roofs of the building. So now for the first one, I'm going to leave it as is, so I have a basis to work from. So I'm going to move over to the second building, and you can notice when I select it, you can see it becomes selected in the 3D view. Again, this is because we're working on one single model. So to edit the roof itself, I can either select it, go to the contextual tab and click on Edit Footprint, or we can double tap to go into the editor. So the footprint is represented again by this single closed loop, same like with the walls and floors. So if you want to edit them in any way, If we simply select one, we're given some information here. First being the top, that's our slope, and that is the slope of that side of the roof. We have our flipping arrows, which jumps between the boundaries. And here we have a temporary dimension where we can add an offset. So if I add in, say, 300, it will offset in 300. We can also move it out 300. So first one I'm going to do is I'm going to change the slope of this side to 60 degrees. And also the slope to the front by 60 degrees. Green tick to finish. Now you see now we have 60 degrees to the front and rear and 30 either side. So I'm going to move over to the next roof. So with this one, I'm going to leave the rear and front of the roof as 30 degrees. What I'm going to do is create a gable end either side. How I do that, I'll select the line which I want to change. In my options bar here, I have defines slope. So having that turned on means that I'm able to define a slope. If I untick it, I'll do both sides. So that both sides will no longer have a slope. Green tick to finish. And now I've created a gable end. Now move over to the next roof. I can do all three. Define slope. So with roofs, as long as you have your boundary correct, it's a case of running around the footprint of the building, assigning the correct slope, or unticking define slope to create the roof shape. You'll see on the L shape as well, it will automatically create the hip and verge. So coming back to the first one, and at the footprint, so I'm going to add in an overhang. And to quickly select all of those, I can either use the selection window, or again, hover over one, tap the tab key, and then left click on the mouse. There, my options bar, I can add in an overhang. Green tick to finish. I'm going to have an overhang for the roof. So for the second building there, I'm going to convert this into a flat roof. And how I do that, again, I'll select each one of the slopes, select defines slope. So now none of the sides have a slope. Green tick to finish. And there we have our flat roof. Now we don't want our flat roof to extend all the way to the external face. So if I double tap to go back in, if I select one of the sides, if I use the flipping arrows, you'll see the footprint now flips onto the internal face of the external wall. Again, this is not something that we want. We want our roof to sit on the core boundary, which is the blockwork. So to add the core boundary into the footprint, we'll just highlight each one of the walls again. So again, hovering over one line, tapping the tab key, left click on the mouse. In the options bar here, we have extend into wall, i.e. the core. So if we tick that on, now we select the line and hit the flipping arrows, we extend inside, sitting over the blockwork. You see more clearly here on the ground floor plan. So now the footprint of our flat roof extends right to the external face of that blockwork. Green tick to finish. So lastly, with the gabled end roof, we can see here that our walls no longer meet the underside of the roof. So instead of editing the footprint of that wall and trimming it to the underside of that roof, what we can do is we can select the wall. In the contextual tab there, we have modify wall, and there we have attach top/base. So if I select that, once I select the tool, the next stage is to select the roof. So where you want that wall to extend up to, and it will automatically extend up. Now you can see as well, I need to extend this up as well. So again, select the wall, attach top base, select the roof. And same with the other side. Select the wall, select attach top base, select the roof. And same with this side. And we can do for this roof as well. So again, our roofs are just simply components. If we select one of the roofs, we can go to our type selector, and we have a couple of default roofs. So for the pitched roof, we'd obviously use the two pitched. And there we have one flat roof that we can change to flat. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to add a roof to a lower ground floor section here. To do that, we'll go to our first floor plan. If you can't see this section here on the first floor plan, you can go to the underlay section and turn your ground floor plan on. Or again, simply you can go back to your ground floor plan. When you activate the roof tool, you'll be prompted with that warning box. Do you want to start on the first floor? So we'll do that method now. So I'll select my roof tool, and I have my lowest level notice, and I want yes. So because we have our columns around the outside of the building, which we want our roof to sit on, we won't use the pick walls tool because the pick walls tool wants to attach to a wall. It doesn't reference a column. So what I'll do is I'll do the pick walls tool so you'll see what will happen. It does need some tidying up. So green tick to finish. Go to my first floor. So now I know that my footprint is okay. So if I extend that out to the outside of those columns, green tick to finish. I go to my 3D view. We can see the side of the roof there droops over. So it's attached to the wall, and anything like that then goes past it, the slope will fall. So that's why we're getting this unusual shape. So we'll select the roof and delete it. Go back to the ground floor. And now we're going to use the roof tool. Again, yes, we want it to be on our first floor. So this time we're going to just draw by a rectangle. So it won't have any connection to the walls. So we use our rectangle tool. Come then to the bottom right and we just roughly place it over the columns, and we can finally adjust them afterwards. So I'll use my rectangle tool to place it over the columns, attaching it to the face of this exterior wall. And I'll attach it over to the outside of the columns. So I just click to select it and then dragged it until it attaches to the outside of the column. And once it's on the face of the column, again, I'm going to select it and move it out by 300. So to do that, I selected one of the lines, went to my move tool, just clicked anywhere on the screen from my start point, move the cursor in the direction I want it to go, and then I entered in 300. Again, for the lower end, select the line, use the move tool, click for my start point, and move down 300. So if you want to refer to the PDF 015 pitch roof, we'll get the slopes for this roof itself. So starting at the top, our slope is 15. And the bottom is also 15. Left-hand side is 60. And the right-hand side does not define the slope. So we'll select the line, come to the options bar, we'll tick off defines slope. You'll also find this information in the properties palette here on the left-hand side. So there's our defined slope, we can tick it on, we can add an offset. It's also telling me the current slope and length. So green tick to finish. Now go to the 3D view, and there we have our roof. This time I'm just going to change it to a different pitched roof type. So I'll select the roof, come to my type selector, select the drop down arrow, and I'm going to use the last roof pitched 38, tile 25 flat, etc. So next I'm going to put a flat roof on the main section of this building. So you can go to our roof plan. Again, if you don't see the lower walls, we'll just go to our property section, scroll down to underlay, change our range base level to first floor. Next, we'll select our roof tool. For this, yes, we will use our pick walls tool. And we're going to draw a flat roof, so I want it to extend into the wall core. Also, to speed it up, I'm going to tick define slope off, because again, it will be a flat roof. So I'm in the walls tool, using my pick walls. I untick define slope. I tick on extend to wall core. And while we're at it, we can also change the roof type. So we'll change it to roof flat felt. So now we just select the walls themselves. Before we do anything, green tick to finish. Okay, so the footprint is okay. So now we'll select edit footprint to go back into it, just to double check everything's okay. So there we can see it's inside the core boundary, so that's exactly where we want it to be. Everything looks good. If it's not, just select it and use your flip arrows. Green tick to finish. Now we go to our 3D view. There's our flat roof. So the last thing we need to add to this roof is a parapet. To do that, we're going to select each one of the walls. Again, quick way is to hover over one, hit the tab key, left click on the mouse. So all of the walls are now selected. And we're just going to adjust the constraints. So we come to the properties palette. Our top constraint is set to roof level, which is perfect. Two below that, we have top offset. So with the top offset, we can increase the height of the wall above the roof level. So it's currently set to 0. So if we change that to 1,000, press apply, and now we'll see our wall will come above the roof. So we just added our parapet to the roof. So you can notice that the walls are just disappearing into the roof. There's no definition between the two. So we can change that. We can go to our modify tab. In the geometry panel, we have join. So if we select join, and we'll also tick on multiple joins so we can do it multiple times. It's a case of just selecting the roof, selecting the wall, selecting the roof, selecting the wall. We can run around the building and escape. So now we can see a definition between the two. What I'll do is I'll just highlight the roofs that we've drawn and delete them. Next one I'm going to show you is a roof by extrusion. So we've just drawn roof by footprint. So we're in a plan view, we've drawn the footprint, we've made it have a pitch, be it flat roof and so on. So we can also draw unusual shapes by using the extrusion tool. So first thing, again, I'm just going to draw a small shape. So this would be my building. For the roof by extrusion, we do not draw it in a plan view, so we'll need to either go into our elevation view or section view. So I'm going to use my section view. If the section view is pointing the wrong direction, just select it, hit the flipping arrow. Double tapping on the beak to open up the section view. And there's the side of my building. So with the roof tool, if you hit the drop down arrow, we've been drawing roof by footprint. Next is the roof by extrusion. So I select that. So next it's asking me what work plane do I want to work to. So because we're working in 3D, it wants to know what surface am I working from. So all we can do is we can pick a plane, press OK, and then selecting the face of that brickwork. And next it's asking me my roof reference level and offset. So yes, I want my roof to be on my roof level with no offset, so I'll press OK. So we're now going to draw our extrusion shape. And how the extrusion works is we'll draw one single line. Again, it would be represented by a pink line. So it doesn't need to be closed. It would just be one single line, like we drew the railings. So now we're going to create the roof profile. Just again, using our tools from the draw panel here. What I'm going to use is the spline tool. So the spline tool is very much like CAD. So every time we click, we place a vertex, which will then create a curve between each one of those vertexes. So I'll click to start. Every time I click, I'll get a small curve between each point. And finish. Enter the finish. So there is my profile. When I hit my green tick to finish, the roof itself would extrude out. And because we set our reference plane on the face of that brickwork, it will go in that direction. Green tick to finish. And there we have our roof extrusion. Using the grips again, I can extend it out or retract it. And of course, I can double tap to go back in to change the shape of it if it's not satisfactory. As well, we can select it, go to our type selector and change the type.